environment, energy, as well as retail. Okay. Uh, in the case where we'll be, it is also another domain specific area which is there. Okay, domain specific areas which are there. And the first one which is there is environment, right? So based upon the environment, it will be that is analyzing about the weather conditions which are there. Okay, what is the weather condition which is there, that will be analyzed and put forth to you, based on which, for which we will be fitting as much of sensors. Okay. Mm, Sensors which are there, and so for which we'll be using the IoT based weather monitoring systems, which will be using different kinds of sensors. Okay, not one with one sensors we'll be getting it. We'll be using different kinds of sensors, and the data which is there, that is sent to the cloud based storage, and the collected information which is there, that can be analyzed, and it is visualized with the applications. And the weather alerts which are there, that can also be subscribed by the users, from which we will be getting the, using different applications also we can get it. Okay. In addition to, we will be having AirPi, which is also a weather and quality monitoring kit which is there, which will be giving you information about temperature, humidity, air pressure, light levels, UV levels. All such things will be given back to you, the sensing. Next comes the air pollution. Okay, so as we know, also we there is morning we learned about gas monitoring, right? So in that, CO as well as the LPG gases which are there, that will be identified, or it will be monitored, and if any leakage, that will be provided back to you. So in the case of the IoT based pollution monitoring system, we can monitor the harmful gas emission which may be coming from the factories, and also from the vehicles using gas, that is, we can use two types of sensors, that is gases as well as meteorological sensors also can be used. When we will be making use of it, we can analyze the mm, collected data from it, and we can decide whether there is any pollution which is happening. If so, we'll be using some pollution control approaches which are there, and we can find it out. Next comes the noise pollution monitoring system. So in the case of the noise pollution monitoring, in urban areas, normally we used to have, so for which we'll be monitoring by the use of number of noise pollution monitoring systems, which can be deployed in different places of the city. Okay, and the data which we'll be getting from it, and we can find whether the noise levels which are there from the stations which is collected on the servers, whether it is correct or not. Okay, it can be retrieved from the cloud, and what all the collected data which is there, that can be analyzed to generate whether there is any noise maps which are there. Okay, that's how we'll be aggregating the data, and we'll be collecting it. And next comes the forest fire detection. Okay, so in the case of the forest fire detection, it will be as, as we know, forest is a that is natural resource, property which is given to human being, but because of the deforestation, so much of issues which are there that might be happening. And this particular forest fire detection system will be used in by deploying various number of nodes at various locations in the forest, and each and every monitoring node which is there, that will be collecting the data about, based on the ambient conditions which are there, and come after this. And it will be collected and analyzed for the presence of fire, whether there is any fire which has happened. If so, the corresponding places or else the signals will be getting alerted with, and the people will be announced the same. so that the early detection may be helping in improving the that is to that is eliminate the loss which is there, so that the damage which might be causing, that can be minimized. Next comes the fire flood detection. So in the case of the fire flood detection, it will be using number of sensor nodes which are there to monitor the water level which is there. So the water flow sensors will be involved in such things for getting the data which is there, and all the data which is there from the sensor will be that is backup in the cloud. Okay, so based on which the monitoring applications will be alerting in case if there is any rapid increase in the water level. Okay, we can also, as how we'll be using, we can also use the ultrasonic sensor also for it. Okay, so this is all about the weather conditions which are there. Okay, this is all about the environment which is there. So these are all the environment specific areas in which the IoT is deployed. And next comes the energy. So in the case of the energy, the first category which is there is smart grids. Okay, so smart grid is a data communication network which is integrated with the electrical grid which is there. Okay, so the smart grid technology which will be providing predictive information as well as a recommendation to the utilities which are there, their suppliers as well as consumers, and how best to manage the power. So smart meter can be deployed in such means so that it will be capturing real-time consumption of power consumption, and it will be allowing to manage the power distribution remotely also. Okay, so this is one of the example which we can give. That is Kudangulam. It is in Aralvaimoli itself. We will be having a power station, right? So all such in all such ways, we can even remotely we can connect it, and from which even we will be getting the things done. Next comes the renewable energy systems. Okay, in the case of the renewable energy systems, we'll be having the sources like solar as well as wind, which will be producing the variable outputs which are there. Okay, so the variable output produces the local voltage swings which is there that can impact the power quality. So the IoT systems which is integrated with the transformers measures how much power is fed into the grid and how it is getting managed. So based on which we can make use of it. So in another way, it will be ensuring the grid stability when we will be fitting such IoT devices, and the solution to implement simply cut off is one of the solutions which we will be using when there is overproduction. And next comes the prognostics. So in the case of the prognostics, we will be using the phasor measurement units that will be called as PMU. This is the specialized electrical sensor which is used to get the real-time information of the power grids. So in the energy systems, we'll be having a large number of critical components where the health is also an essential one for working it correctly. So IoT monitoring system, which will be allowing for data to be gathered about these particular critical components, and analysis of massive amounts of data which is gathered by the sensors can produce such predictions for the impending failures. So when there is any failures, it will be giving some predictions about it. Uh, OpenPDC is a set of application which is used for making some alternative measurements, that is like streaming the time series data which will be collected in real time. So that can also be done by the help of the OpenPDC. Next comes the retail. So in the case of retail, we'll be having the inventory management as the first category, where in the case of the inventory management, inventory means normally inventory is in a store or in a warehouse. It can be managed by the help of the IoT, where the products which are there or else the items in the store which can be attached with the help of the RFID tags. So this RFID tags attached to the products which will allow them to be tracked in real time, so that we can know what is the inventory levels which can be given accurately, as well as how much products is there in the stock. All such tracking details can be done with the help of this particular RFID tags which is fitted into it. So that the manual process which is carried out there, that can be avoided when we'll be making use of such things which is there. Next comes the smart payments. So in the case of the smart payments, it is a solution such as contactless payments. All such things are one of the that is example or else the solution which we have made based on which. So for which we'll be using NFC, that is the near field communication, as well as Bluetooth, which will be used as a device to communicate with each other, and because of which the that is the types of payments which are there, which will be coming into pictures like QR code that can be scanned, and that can be used as one of the mechanism in which we will be using the contactless payments. So these are all some of the contactless technologies which we might be using for the smart payments. Next comes the smart vending machines. So in the case of the smart vending machines, it will be containing several items like where when a consumer is inserting money and getting the item, they want the image to be shown below. So for which they'll be having several sensors which is attached to the vending machine, and the items which is having less number of quantity, or else the owner, he or she might be knowing better about it, and they'll be making alternative arrangements to when they'll be having it. Also, the vending machines which will be maintaining the that is history of the consumers who are all bought it, how much, all such details it will be having in it. And also it will be suggesting the same item which they have bought earlier. So with the help of the training, or else the training which it has taken. So these are all some of the domain specific things which it taken into account, and based on the domain specific areas we will be having certain applications also. So in the case where we'll be having the retail, we'll be having smart payments, smart vending machines, as well as the inventory management. These three are the main things which they'll be taking into account for having the things done. So as a consolidation, for environment, we will be checking with weather, all such things. And the next thing is, they it will be taking into account what all the that is yes, energy which is there. So for which we will be having smart grid, renewable energy system as well as prognostics. And the other thing is retail, as how we learned, there will be also three subdivisions which we will be taking into concern, and that's how the domain specific based on environment, retail as well as the energy is taken into concern. So in the case where we'll be having the these are all the domain specific areas which are there. In addition to, we can see about what all the domain specific tools which are available for each and every domain which is there. Okay, so in the case where we'll be having the information system, we'll be having the school management which will be handling various activities, and it will be processing the school to facilitate the campus management like examinations, then that is payment, attendance, admission, all such details, student fees, then timetable, teachers, training, as well as attendance, all such things will be taken into concern by this management system, and based on which we will be getting the information. And in the case where we'll be having the inventory management, we'll be having the inventory management where it will be having different applications where based on the applications, it will be taking into account what all the ways in which they can do the things well than what it is prevailing. So this is about the that is the applications or else the apps which are available for the energy domain. So in the case where we'll be having energy smart energy system, we'll be internet IoT is also playing a main role when we'll be having the smart energy system, and it can be used in for the residential use as well as the commercial use. And the residential energy which is there, in which when the technology is increasing day by day, then it also raises the cost of the energy. So the consumers will be searching the way through which they can reduce and control the energy costs which is there. So IoT providing a mature way to analyze as well as to optimize the use of the devices as well as the entire system of a home. And it may be changing the device settings by switching off, on, or else dimming the light to optimize energy use. The bulbs which we have spoken about in the morning class, that is also one of the examples. So when there is based upon the darkness which is prevailing, the bulb that is the average where the bulb is glowing, that can also be increased or reduced, or it is all such ways we can make use of it. And next comes the, so this is about the residential energy which we will be speaking about. Next comes the commercial energy. So in the case of the commercial energy, the wastage of the energy which is widely impacting any business enterprises, and the IoT which will be providing a specific way for monitoring as well as maintaining at low cost. And also the high level of care can be taken by the system to provide or to preserve the things. And the IoT system, which will be providing strong means of managing the consumption cost as well as of energy, as well as optimizing the output of the enterprises. It discovers energy issues in the same way as the functional issues which are there in a complex network businesses, as well as, and it will be providing some solutions also. And this is how the way in which it will be ensuring the reliability which is there in the analytics as well as actions which are delivered. And it will be detecting what are all the threats which are there in the system performance, as well as stability which is protecting when we'll be handling the losses which are there based on the damaged equipments and all. So these are all the things which we need to concentrate on with when we'll be speaking about the energy which is there in as a domain specific area in IoT. So the other thing which is there is retail. So in the case where when we'll be having retail, as we know, the inventory management, all such things will be taking the whole thing when we'll be speaking about the retail. So in the case where we'll be having the retail, um, where inventory is one of the things which we might be taking care of. So normally, as we have discussed, based on the RFID tags which we'll be having in the case, it will be analyzing the things and it will be uh, doing as how it is required. And when we'll be checking about the retail, in the case where we'll be having it in the company, um, we'll be having certain things. That is in the retail industry, it has been the potential of the retail in which they'll be taking into account of all the stocks verifications and all. It will be playing a main role. And when we'll be checking, comparing with the Amazon and all, there in online also they'll be having the retail, and based on which all such things which we have shared here, that too can be, that too is concentrated there. Mm, and uh, the issues in which, that is in the case where we'll be having the retailers in the pandemic days, even we'll be rethinking about the strategies as well as speed of digitizations which carried out take a main role in such ways where we'll be implementing the thing. And in the case where when we'll be having the retail clubbing with IoT, we'll be taking into concern two things. That is data gathering as well as sharing is taking place. And the other one is acting based on the collected data. So in the case where we'll be gathering the data as well as sharing the information, with the help of the sensors, retail IoT devices, products, as well as environments, we'll be collecting all the important data which is there on an entire product, and based on which we'll be shopping the life cycle. And after this data is processed as well as it is analyzed, it is transformed into valuable insights that helps the retail managers to make informed decisions, as well as to improve the retail experience as well as the operations which they'll be taking care of. And there comes the next thing, that is acting based on the collected data. So IoT enabled machines which are connecting the stores, it can be partially or fully automated to drive its efficiency, to improve the efficiency. So when we will be taking into account the sustainability and resilience, that is also important when we will be taking into care about the retail operations. So these are all some of the differences which we can make or else it is types of retails which is happening in the industry. So when we will be optimizing, so based on this, we will be collecting all the information about the customers or who is buying the details, and based on the customer experience which we have handled, we can optimize the things based on IoT. So for which personalization or else personalized communication based on IoT collected data is essential. And when we'll be making good case for improving the communication between a customer and a brand, in store, IoT sensors can track the customers' journeys, analyze their habits, and also share the insights with the marketing team. Using this data, the content teams can incorporate the hyper segmentation practices and create the segment specific content. So based on that, the personalized shopping experience for each and every customers will be taken care of, and it will be helping the shoppers to find the products, to get tips, and to offer some things, and to give some advice. All such things can be done when we'll be making use of this thing. And the other step is optimizing the product usage. So when we'll be having all the data that is collected by the IoT, it will be allowing the brands to improve the product maintenance, features as well as design. A company which will be tweaking the settings and making the necessary updates on a product can be at home, and it will be giving the transferring the collected data to the company's server, and from which they'll be gathering the information and they'll be analyzing certain things. Mm, For example, the Rolls-Royce car that it will be using the Internet of Things to improve the maintenance of the aircraft engines which are there, and the brand which they will be collecting the data about the state of the engine. Then on a daily basis they'll be collecting it, and it will be alerting the clients to uh, what is the need for active maintenance and all. They'll be collecting the information, and this way the end users can avoid the damages which are caused by the product, and they can improve the design as well as the performance also. And in addition to, the third step is monitoring as well as predicting the in-store wait times. So, if suppose a person that is even in pandemic days, we can't wait. So that is the customer tendency. So for which, what they need to do, the customer will be getting frustrated. So to avoid such things, we will be using IoT in the supermarkets, which will be allowing the brands to manage in-store wait times, and the technology which can be provided by the store employees with data and how long the user will be having the waiting. Based on this insights, the customer will be served, provided with all such useful activities, and based on the intermediate activities which they'll be provided with, they'll be getting the customer satisfaction, and because of which the things can be avoided. Okay, so these are all some of the useful information or else the step-by-step information which we can take based on the retail. So these are all the things which is based on environment, then energy, as well as retail. Okay, next class we can see about the other.